Alright, what's up guys? Okay, so this video might be a lengthy one, but I'm gonna try to make this concise and straight to the point. Alright, so I know a lot of you guys have read the Sonic IDW comics. I've read the first two sagas, of course, and I kind of fell off after the Metal Virus saga. And I know a lot of you guys have heard of Sonic Rebound, an animation I make that is based on the Sonic IDW comics. It's an adaptation. But the Sonic IDW comics might be in big trouble. Now, we all know that the IDW sales are declining. They're not doing so hot right now. In the Sonic IDW comics, I heard that the sales have been declining for a while, especially recently. So I'm reading some leaks here that was from 4chan about the IDW comics being in trouble. Now these are lengthy leaks, very long leaks, and to be honest, I hate long leaks. Like I hate reading them when they're so long. This is very long, so I'll only read the important parts here. The leaks were actually archived by this dude on Twitter called Blind Leaks, and it's funny, he actually blocked me. He blocked me on my main account when I covered that Sonic Frontiers leak the other day, which basically gives it away that the leaks are pretty much true. So it's like, dude, you know I can still see your tweets through another account or incognito, or I don't even have to log in to read the leak, so that's weird. But anyway, I personally believe these leaks to be true. Like, why would Sonic IDW leaks be fake? You know, this is the Sonic IDW comics we're talking about. These are not the game. Yeah, everyone's starving for a new Sonic game, right? Especially 3D, like Sonic Frontiers. We even got articles now of SEGA promising that Sonic Frontiers is going to be a good game, and they're aiming for high scores for Sonic Frontiers. So a lot is riding on this game. So there's obviously going to be fake leaks galore. There's going to be a lot of people trying to ride on that hype, making up leaks, whether it's true or false, so you don't know what to believe sometimes. But to be honest, no one is starving for Sonic IDW comics, not to that same level, because we get IDW comics every month. You know, they're not on the same level of hype, not even close. Also, the Sonic comics appeals to a niche audience. A lot of Sonic fans don't read the comics, never cared to read the comics. Throughout my life as a Sonic fan, I never really cared to read the Sonic Archie comics. I didn't start researching them until recently, and honestly, I only started looking into the Sonic Archie comics a lot because of my Sonic theories that I did several years ago. That's when I started looking into the Sonic Archie comics. Otherwise, I grew up with like one book based on the Sonic SatAM. Actually, there was two books I had based on Sonic SatAM, and that's about it. I know the Sonic IDW comics reached popularity and got real big, especially they were translated in multiple languages, and it peaked by the Metal Virus saga. But still, it's not big like the games are, including the movies and other multimedia. Most Sonic tubers don't even cover the comics. Premi doesn't care about them at all. He doesn't even read the IDW comics. I think he's never read Archie either. Like he said in one of his live streams that it makes him upset and sad because the stories are so much better than the games. So he's like, why read the comics and be upset that that kind of level and quality of storytelling is not in the games? So he would rather have that for the games than for it not to be in the games and in the comics. And I can see where he's coming from. You know, I can see where he's coming from. So yeah, the only way these leaks can be fake is if they're from an angry and bitter Sonic Archie fanboy who's still not over the Archie comics being canceled like 5 years ago. But I doubt it. You know, these leaks are way too damn long for it to be fake. So let's just jump right into it. But anyway, before I get into these leaks, be sure to smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also hit that thanks button. Let's see if we can get over to 100k subscribers before Sonic Frontiers comes out. So yeah, right here, the first post says, "Fuck it, I'm bored and this is a shit job anyway. Ask me anything about the inner workings of IDW Sonic and I'll answer as best as I can." Now, this part is a red flag. It's like, whoa. Look, I'm not saying working at SEGA is fun. We've heard a lot of stories in the past of people being unhappy working at SEGA. But you would not write like this is very unprofessional. So I'm thinking it's someone who's pretending to be an employee, but they got these informations from someone. You know, they got actual information from the staff at IDW and they're just posing as an employee to write all this so, you know, they don't get caught. Now, one of the questions here says, when is Sally Acorn coming back? The answer is, believe it or not, but she gets brought up literally every annual pitch meeting for the comics future year. It's an ongoing inside joke at this point, but I guess judging from Ian Flynn's podcast, it's not really a joke for him. Like, of course, we've been knowing that Ian Flynn has been trying to insert Sally back in the IDW comics, but You know, the SEGA mandates, the mandates don't want any of those Freedom Fighter Archie characters to be in the IDW Sonic comic. And at this point, before I was like, yeah, that makes sense, they're not canon. But now that we all know the Sonic IDW comics aren't canon, it's like, yo, you might as well just put them in. Like, what have you got to lose at this point, you know? The next question says, who will be in Frontiers? I don't know. I don't work for SEGA. They don't tell us shit. Okay. That one's kind of funny. Now this says, so when are they going to be forced to bring Shadow back into the comics? You can't keep him out of it forever because of mandates. The person replies with, never. SEGA does not demand any characters to be part of the comics except Sonic himself. If they really wanted to, they could even ignore Tails and Eggman as long as Sonic is still around. You've read the comic, you've seen this in action already with how not prominent Eggman and Knuckles are. You can literally keep him out forever as long as you don't want to use him. Ian isn't planned for writing anything after issue 50, so go beg Evan and Colin if you want to see Shadow in. So yeah, I noticed Dr. Eggman hasn't been prominent in these IDW comics for a while now. It's mostly been Dr. Starline. And yeah, and obviously Knuckles, like, they don't want to use him anymore. He's just been stuck on Angel Island. And as we all know, Ian Flynn is busy writing the story for Sonic Frontiers. And apparently he's not going to be working on the IDW comics. He's not going to be writing for it anymore after issue 50. It's just going to continue being Evan Stanley. And honestly, that's when I fell out of the IDW comics, when Evan Stanley took over. I'm just not a fan of her story writing. It just is kind of bland, and I don't know, like, no offense to her, but yeah, I miss Ian Flynn's writing. So it's apparent that Sega's going to want to keep him for the games. So the comics will suffer if Ian Flynn doesn't return again. The next question says, what's the deal with Lanolin? Sega only perked up after Adam Bryce Thomas tried to put her in the one group, or in that one group shot cover, and they removed her. They realized she was significant to him and they pressed on who she was, so they basically gave him an easier version of the character pitching process. She's no longer allowed to change outfits constantly without approval first, and as with every OC not pitched. in a relationship, she's not allowed to get in one later. Okay, so that's weird. It's just another example of Sega's weird mandates, you know. Okay, then another question here says, so what will happen with Tangle and Whisper? Aren't they Ian Flynn's creations? Sega owns the characters, but who's going to write them? The answer, Colin is doing Tangle and Whisper 2 with Ian's blessing. Tangle seeks Whisper out, while Whisper seeks Mimic out. Expect heavy ship teasing, but no commitment because relationships aren't allowed, and that goes double for LGBTQ. So yeah, this is definitely true. You know, part of the Sega mandates is no relationships with Sonic characters. That was something that was very prominent in the Archie comics, much to his detriment too, because I did not like that. But obviously, Sega likes to do things in extremes. So they're like, absolutely no relationships, not even a hint. So yeah, you know, I know a lot of Tangle and Whisper fans like to ship them together. And Sega's like, no, don't do that. Don't even hint at that. But apparently they're going to make a Tangle and Whisper 2 spin-off, like the sequel to the first spin-off of Tangle and Whisper. So that's interesting, but they may not be doing that. So another question here is, why did you push for self-contained stories earlier? Answer, you'll have to be clearer. I don't know what you mean. The question says, at the beginning of season 3, you were wanting more self-contained stories. Not exactly. The stories under David's orders were still required to be connected and somewhat overarching, but not a mega arc like Metal Virus. There will never be a true self-contained story. Another question here says, so there's no future plans for Shadow whatsoever still? No, if Tangle and Whisper 2 does well, the Team Dark miniseries will probably be greenlit, and I guess written by the same guy. So another interesting question here says, any crossovers planned? Like, remember that Sonic and Mega Man crossover in the Archie comics? The answer is, David really wanted to do a Transformers one, and that rug was pulled from under us. Now we don't have the money. Ian actually told him about how crossovers killed Archie Sonic because of the licensing cost of the whole endeavor and not making the money back, so as of now, no planned crossovers at all. Yeah, so that's pretty sad though, because it's like, you know, that was pretty special. Even me who didn't follow the Archie comics back then, it was so cool when they showed like the Sonic and Mega Man crossover. Like, before I was like, oh yeah, we're not going to get that because Sonic IDW Comics is close to the game canon. But since they're not considered canon by Sega anymore, you might as well just go nuts, but they can't do that because they simply don't have the money for it. Now, the next question says, are annuals dead considering the priority on promotional specials? If we even survive long enough to do another annual, Riley suggested we approach Paramount about turning next year's annual into a story that can go with the Knuckles show thing. They were easy to work with, so assume that that's a go if we stay afloat that long. I know we're getting an annual, or we already have an annual this year with the IDW comics, but this guy's not even sure they're going to have an annual next year. And he's like, if they even survive to do one next year, they're thinking about approaching, you know, Paramount to do another special, kind of like what they did with Sonic Movie 2. But yo, it's just sad that, you know, the Sonic IDW comics are suffering. And to skip to this question here says, are they considering a mini or ongoing for Classic Sonic? If we survive until 2026, we'll do another special. No plans for Classic Sonic beyond that. Yeah, so this guy doesn't even think the IDW Sonic comics are going to last past 2026. That's like 4 years from now, which is sad. It's going to be crazy that Sonic Rebound might actually outlive the Sonic IDW comics. I would never have guessed that before, because it's like, you know, with Sonic Rebound, every episode now takes a year to make. You know, I wish we could go back to having 2 episodes per year, but the quality increases with every episode. So there's no way we can rush out 2 episodes a year, because if we do that, there's going to be one episode that's considerably weaker than the other. So in order to ensure quality, we're going to get like 1 episode a year. I would love to have more than that. So since I'm planning on having 12 to 13 episodes of Sonic Rebound, that means this show won't end until like 2028. And that means by then the Sonic IDW comics might not even continue by then. They might be discontinued by then. So that's just crazy to think that Sonic Rebound might end after the IDW comics are concluded. So we might not even get to issue 100. And this question is also crazy. It says, why did Ian do what he did with Amy early on in IDW? The person's talking about like issue 2. You know that scene that I cut off from Sonic Rebound when Amy is basically leading and commanding a mini army against the robots? Like, that was a cool character moment for her in the comics, but I removed that for the show because it was too much on the nose and it felt like Sally Acorn 2.0. So I removed that to just focus on Amy and Sonic's dynamic. And the answer here says, because he was half expecting to be able to use Sally when we first brought him on. So that's crazy, because like Amy was giving real Sally vibes when she first appeared, but I think they toned down on that as the comics went on. And this question is really serious. It's, how fucked is IDW? Do you think if shit keeps heading south they'll jettison Sonic? It's really bad. We don't even go into the office building like we used to. Sonic is one of our bread and butters. He isn't going until the company at large goes. And that is true. Like, tell me guys, how many of you read IDW comics for their other franchises? No one. You know, I didn't even know about IDW. I didn't even know they've been around since the late 90s. So I didn't know they existed until they bought the rights of Sonic. And if you pay attention in the Sonic comics, they always advertise their other franchises at the end of the issue. Like they'll do it for DuckTales or Skylanders, stuff like that. And it's like, damn. So it's just crazy. You know, when Sonic IDW goes down after IDW goes down, will Sega, you know, let another comic company do Sonic, or will they just let Sonic go? Because Sonic has had a good run with the comics since the early 90s. But it's like, look, if I had to choose between the games having great stories and the comics, and I had to choose which one to go, I will go with the games having great storytelling and for the comics to just go, you know, because it's like, how long are we going to deal with the Sonic comics having great storytelling? Or even if it's like mid storytelling, it's still better than the video games have done like in the past 10 plus years, which is sad. If we see Tangle and Whisper 2 be a thing, it's legit. When should we expect that announced solicited? Answer says, Tangle and Whisper 2 expected announced in August to come September, assuming delays don't fuck us over more than usual. Wait, the minis are at risk of dying off? If Tangle and Whisper 2 doesn't sell, then yes, it'll be hard to convince the people handling the funds that minis are a worthwhile expenditure. Every mini has been a success up to this point. Yeah, I thought the minis were doing good. Actually, the minis most of the time have been better than the comics. Like, let's be honest, I liked Tangle and Whisper. I liked Bad Guys. The Imposter Syndrome, I read a little bit of that. A lot of people are loving that as well. The next question here says, any changes being made next season in format or goals? Not really, just sort of proving now that Ian is on Frontiers that the comic can function without him. And that's kind of sad, because it's like, you know, once Ian Flynn starts writing for the Sonic games, they're not going to let him go. Especially if Frontiers has a great story. They're going to be like, nah, Ian, you writing for us. Which is just, it's mind-boggling to me that Ian Flynn has been involved with the fucking Sonic comics for like as long as I can remember, and Sega never took advantage of him. They never utilized him for the games until now. And then it makes you wonder, did they only do this because of, you know, popular demand, because fans were demanding it? Because it's like, you guys have a great story writer for the Sonic games right at your fingertips. Like, I know some people don't like Ian Flynn as a writer, but it's like, look, if you compare him with Pontac and Graf, it's easy to differentiate who's the better writer for Sonic. SEGA were busy fucking with Pontaff for like a decade. It is like, why? Like, was Ian too busy? I don't know. It's weird how SEGA operates. It's very weird. And this question, will there be a tie-in comic with Frontiers? Why not try to get your comics packaged with the game? We tried to bring it up, but SEGA was hesitant to share information on Frontiers, and if we don't have info ahead of time, we can't make a comic. And it's like, yeah, man, like, I've noticed, man, SEGA has just been very, I don't know, now I wouldn't say unfair, but just cold towards the Sonic IDW comics. They don't want it mixing with their game story, and the fact that they got Ian Flynn to write the story now, and they don't want to share any details with the comics. They even stated that Frontiers is not canon with the comics. It's like, yo, are you guys trying to kill off the comics, or are you guys now, you have big cojones now because you got Ian Flynn to finally write the story of your games? I don't know. Basically, what we know is that the IDW comics can't connect with the games. And if they do, it's going to be like the Archie comics. It's going to be like they're going to try to retrofit it with the comics because now they know the story. And I always thought that was cheap with the Archie comics when they try to retrofit the games into their story that's non-canon. Now, the next question here says, did the film comic tie-in help at all? Not really. It sold worse than main and mini issue stuff. They were looking for classic comic numbers and it didn't meet that at all. That part is sad too, but I even thought about it. I was thinking, who's reading Sonic Movie 2 comics in IDW? Like, I didn't even pick that up. I didn't even look at it. So I'm not even surprised that it sold horribly. And this next question says, are you worried about continuous declining sales? Not anymore. We were pre-imposter syndrome. Now with that series and that milestone 50, we've been tail end of Metal Virus numbers. So yeah, like I said, imposter syndrome, a lot of people are enjoying that arc. So I gotta pick up the comics again and read that. But the fact that he's saying that it's back to where the comics were at the end of the Metal Virus means that it's still not peak. Like I said, peak Sonic IDW was the Metal Virus saga. Everyone was talking about that. It was even getting covered in articles because especially this was around the time of the pandemic and it just rhymed so much with the Metal Virus saga. So a lot of articles were even talking about that, like, yo, the Metal Virus saga in Sonic IDW is awesome, especially at a time that we're going through the pandemic. It mirrors a lot of what we're going through. So I don't think the IDW Sonic comics are ever going to match that hype and that peak ever again, and that's kind of sad. But the fact that they're back to where they were like at the end of the Metal Virus saga is pretty good. But I don't think it's going to last long, especially with Ian Flynn working with SEGA now. So yeah, that's all the important stuff to read here. Like I said, this is very long. Like, I got annoyed just reading everything here, but these are the most important parts that I read. So basically, Sonic IDW hasn't been doing so great in sales, but you guys probably already knew that. But the fact that they don't even think they're going to make it to 100 issues, which would be around 2026, is alarming and it's worrying. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, the Sonic comics have had a good run for several decades, and I don't know, deep down I always knew that the IDW Sonic comics would not last as long as the Archie Sonic comics, because you got to understand, the Sonic Archie comics reboots, the biggest one being the whole, you know, Ken Penders thing and the lawsuit and all that, and the reboot, the Super Genesis wave and stuff. So I knew that the IDW Sonic comics wouldn't go through that kind of drama, and I knew that they wouldn't last that long. Like, how many issues of the Archie Sonic comics were there in total? Let me see. Yeah, like 290. There were 290 Sonic Archie issues in total, and I don't know if that even covers the spin-offs, the multiple spin-offs. So we're looking at well over 300. Yeah, we're not going to get that with IDW Sonic. We'd be lucky to even get to 100. So I guess now's the time to enjoy reading the comics. I'm going to try to pick them up again and catch up. But yeah, enjoy them while it lasts. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think that the comics are not going to last that long? Do you think they will last long and this is all just BS? Or do you think that they're true? Let me know. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Stay tuned for a preview of Sonic Rebound episode 6 coming soon this month. I'm going to try to put a preview on that this month. But yeah, that's all I got for now. So until next time, I'm out.